Hey guys, yeah, I wanted to come on here and do a bit of a late night live stream, seeing as though just Alex Hicks, formerly Deluxe Man, had done one, and he was just doing like basically a review of Monday Night Raw, mainly because a lot of people said that Raw was actually pretty good tonight. Excuse me, there, because of a lot of things that had happened. Mostly tonight, 24 hours removed from what many would consider one of the worst Hell in a Cell matches ever, if you will. They had some qualifying matches for the next event, which is Money in the Bank. So, by having these qualifying matches for Money in the Bank, they expected, obviously seeing like who was involved and everything, they were expecting, oh, well, this is going to suck, and, this is going to be bad. And surprisingly, it wasn't. It was not, because some of the results that came out of these qualifying matches actually surprised a lot of people. And what I mean by surprised a lot of people is the fact that there were certain stars that went over that nobody expected to go over. Nobody expected, Matt Riddle to beat Drew McIntyre. Nobody expected Ricochet to beat AJ Styles, and nobody expected who else is that won tonight? Who else won? I know one of them was against Randy. I don't know who that was. So I'm just checking something right now, guys. It's late, so like I've told you before, there's reasons I'm trying to do this as best I can. I'm not going to explain any more than that. For those of you that follow me, you kind of know what I'm talking about. It's like I said, it's a little hard to do, um, especially during this time of year. So, uh, but yeah, apparently, let's see, trying to make sure I get the people I want to read this tagged on here. There we go. Okay, it's see if we can shorten something here for a second. Hold on. Here we go. But yeah, like I said, basically tonight, if I'm right about this fact, I can look it up here. Look it up here. Hold on, let me see. Yeah, John Morrison. So yeah, John Morrison beat Randy, Ricochet beat AJ, and Matt Riddle beat Drew. And the first two matches was Ricochet and John Morrison. I think Ricochet, I think he won that one clean, and Matt Riddle won clean, and John Morrison, I don't know about that one. But yeah, basically both of them, all three of these guys, Riddle, Ricochet, and Morrison, qualified for Money in the Bank for right now. So they're the first three Raw stars to get to the ladder match, with Randy, AJ, and AJ, and Drew meeting in a triple threat last chance match next week. And as far as the women go, they got all four of the Raw contestants in there already. It's Asuka, who won the briefcase last year. Naomi, Alexa, who won it, and Nikki Cross. So now we're just going to see who SmackDown puts into that into those four other slots for the women, and then see who SmackDown puts in as far as their four representatives as well. Either they do all four this Friday, or they wait a week and then they do a last chance thing next Friday, just like Raw's doing this Monday. The other announcements as well, as far as Money in the Bank is concerned, is we're going to have a rematch between Rhea and Charlotte, and then we're going to have Bobby Lashley against Kofi Kingston. Now, one of the things that I replied to here on Twitter, as I'm looking to the Twitter here, one of the things that I replied to was to J excuse me. So later on, actually, one of the things I replied to was to JD from NY 206, and he basically, what JD from NY said, at JD from NY 206 said, was he mentioned about Matt Riddle beating Drew McIntyre clean. He says he was genuinely surprised, thought they should absolutely give it to McIntyre. And then that's what JD said. He was basically genuinely surprised that they had Riddle beat McIntyre clean. But then this is what I told him in response. This is my response to him among the 31 that he's had. This is what I said, and I quote. This is my response to JD from NY206. This is what I told him. I said, I think it's because they're going back on the road. No, okay, let me reread that. This was my response to JD from NY206, who has that Off the Script show on YouTube, along with his reviews, who I recommend you check out. But this is what I said to him in response, and I quote. I said this. This is what I told him. I think it's because they're going back on the road. They want to have something that they know will draw fans in to trust them. And basically what I mean by that, and I even super chatted that to Alex, is mainly the fact that what's going on is WWE, they realize that they need to essentially, have something that's going to, it's going to attract a lot of people. It's like they know the seating, that the tickets for the American Airlines Arena in Dallas is going fast. They know the tickets for Money in the Bank are going fast. They know that. I think Money in the Bank's in Fort Worth, I believe. Yeah, it's at the Dickies Arena in Fort Worth. So yeah, they know that's going fast, and they know they want any more tickets to go, not just for Money in the Bank at Dickies Arena in Fort Worth, but as well as in Houston and from SmackDown, and well, not Houston, SmackDown. Is SmackDown going to be in Houston? I'm not really sure. No, I think Raw is going to be at the American Airlines Arena. SmackDown's going to be in Houston, I think. And what they want to do basically is they want to, give something that's going to attract fans into buying tickets to sell out these venues. It's basically a business gamble. It's not a business gamble, but it's more of it's more basically of a, how do I put this? It's a very strategic, manipulative business tactic is what it is. It's a strategic, manipulative business tactic on WWE's part to get people to trust them. Like, hey, we'll give you this. Oh, hey, we'll give you these people in Money in the Bank, because you say that hey, if we put them in this kind of environment, they'll shine, they'll do things that nobody else could do. Hey, if we give you this, hey, come and sell out the arena to see it. And that's mainly what it is. It's more of a very strategic, manipulative business tactic to get people to trust them because they're like, hey, if we give you, hey, and basically they're sitting around and and I'm sure maybe Nick Khan had something to do with this. And oh, excuse me, my finger hit the mic there. And I'm sure Michael Hayes and some of them have started about this. But Nick Khan, being a business guy and being put in the position he was been put in by Vince McMahon, realizes that, hey, the only way you're going to sell tickets, we're going to get those tickets to sell out that arena, get those tickets sold to sell out that arena, get actual money back from it, is to basically, put this kind of a lineup out there, kind of show the people, hey, look who we got going in there as part of this event. Maybe you might want to, help sell out the venue to see it live. And hey, if we can give you this, maybe this is a sign of things to come and stuff. So we'll see. I mean, apparently there's a word going around, a rumor going around, reports anyway, that Vince McMahon says that a lot of the good stuff, because apparently he's aware that the product is in the toilet as far as like Monday Night Raw goes, and a bit of SmackDown and NXT were mostly the two big ones. Apparently, the word going around is he's aware of it. He's aware of it, and that he's mainly saving a lot of the good stuff for for the road. That's what he's doing. He's saving a lot of the good stuff for the road. So that way, it gives fans something to be attracted to. If you advertise this kind of a matchup or this kind of a lineup or this kind of card, you get what I'm saying. Basically, like if they advertise these kind of people as the headliners, it's going to get people to be brought. It's going to draw people in. And again, just like with Money in the Bank, the way things look like they're being set up right now, um, the way things are being set up, the way they are right now, it's basically, like I said, a manipulative business tactic. And speaking of the manipulative business tactic, as I do something real quickly, I just do something there right quickly. But talking about the manipulative business tactic, like I was saying, basically they're already teasing, potentially, they're already teasing Jinder Mahal and his henchmen, his new team, if you will, taking out one of the competitors before Money in the Bank, one of the participants, whether it's Riddle, whether it's Ricochet, Morrison. They're teasing that he's going to get involved. They're even teasing, I think he might get involved next week in the triple threat and make it a fatal four-way so that he could try to get in. Or basically what they're doing is they're teasing the fact that Jinder could, steal somebody's spot, because apparently, according to reports, when it comes to him, whether people like this or not, he's supposed to be in line for a big push. And if this is part of that alignment to get him that big push, then I don't think it's going to I don't think it's going to go over well with a lot of people, because it's like, look, you want to give him a big push, but the last thing people want to see is him with that championship again. Now, here's what I think. Here's what I think could potentially happen. I think what will happen is when we get to the draft at the end of August and the beginning of September, that he might end up on SmackDown. He might end up on SmackDown, and that he'll be the reason. And this is again, excuse me. And again, this has been a rumor going on as well. But if the draft happens and he gets sent to SmackDown, he might be the reason. And again, this is just an opinion. He might be the reason that Roman Reigns turns face. Because if you can get, because he's the kind of wrestler, that if you can get anybody to turn Roman Reigns face, turn him face, still as the tribal chief, still as the head of the table. If you can get anybody to do it, it's someone like Jinder. And then you got his team, you got his tag team, his henchmen. Imagine that trio opposite of hold on for a second. Opposite of Roman and his Roman and his bloodline, as people call him. Roman and the Usos. Imagine that. Imagine that. Hold on for a second. Gotta do something. Hold on for a sec. She's getting up. So do this episode. Hold on, guys. Hold on, guys. So, finger at the mic. Hold on. Yeah, but like I said, basically, um, you know, there's rumors that he might get a big push. And like I said, the last thing fans want to see um, is a Roman Reigns, not a Roman Reigns, but a Jinder Mahal, as the championship again. But like I was saying, I think potentially, but maybe happening with the draft happening at the end of August and the beginning of September. I think what will occur is he'll get drafted over to SmackDown, and that with the rumors persisting that Roman might end up going face, still as the tribal chief and as the head of the table, as he is now. That if there's any way you can get people to cheer Roman and the Usos, the bloodline, if you will, as people call them, then having someone like Jinder and his crew, his team, being opposite of them, that's that's one way of doing it. That is definitely one way of doing it. So yeah, I see, I see that push happening, but I don't see it happening on Raw. I think if anything, they're gonna want it to happen on on SmackDown. So I think Jinder and his crew is gonna end up on SmackDown, and that's how you're gonna get that that Roman Reign face turn. That's what I see happening. Honestly, I do. Now, could I be wrong? Absolutely, absolutely. But I think as it's in the description, I think WWE, they're taking apparently after tonight, as of right now, that is, as of tonight so far, they're taking basically some of the first steps. I guess you would consider in the right direction to kind of get themselves ready to get back on the road, so that whatever they present to the fans, doesn't get booed out of the building. So that's what I see happening. That's what I potentially see happening. Um, but we'll see. We'll see what they got planned, because um, after tonight they made the first couple of steps they took were the correct ones, but we have to see if they'll follow through on that with next week. We'll have to see if they follow through on that with what do we have here? Custom emojis. Oh, create a poll. But like I said, we'll just have to see if they keep that up next week, because you know if they mess up on it next week, that's really going to hurt them. But I think honestly, what they need to do, basically, um, is keep the momentum up, going into SmackDown, and kind of, I wouldn't say necessarily repeating what they did on Raw, but basically, essentially just making sure they put in the right people that they know people would like to see in that kind of a matchup, in that kind of environment, if you will. They would like to see those kind of people in that kind of environment, that kind of a matchup. So hopefully they keep it up. I mean, right now with the women, they've done all right. Asuka, Naomi, Nikki, Alexa. That's fine and everything. That's good and everything. But here's what gets tricky with the women. You got half the field set for them. You're gonna have the other half set by this Friday, I'm assuming. Here's what I think. Here's why I hope WWE doesn't drop the ball. I know they're behind this whole Alexa Bliss Lily thing, whatever you want to call it, but I just do not see fans, especially in Fort Worth. Yeah, I'm just not, I just don't see fans being very supportive of it. I don't see them enjoying the whole voodoo-ness, supernaturalness that Alexa is doing right now. I just don't see them being happy with that. I mean, if the reaction fans gave it WrestleMania with the way, she cost the Fiend Bray Wyatt his match with Randy, you know, to me, it's like, you're going to have fans react that way at WrestleMania in Tampa. How do you think they're going to react, um, going forward? How do you think they're going to react, um, in Fort Worth, especially in a sold out venue? I mean, how many people can that thing fit? I mean, let me see what the capacity is. It is, it is a 14,000 seat arena. Uh, so sitting wise, wrestling wise, you could add, I think, 3,000 more seats. So you're looking at like nearly 16,000, 17,000 people. Let's see what it says. Yeah, about that. I think it's going to be about that. So you're looking mainly at almost, like I said, you're almost looking at like 17,000 people in the venue itself. I'm looking at some pictures here. The venue itself looks all right. It's not a massive venue, which I guess for right now is a good thing because you don't really want to, um, you don't want to basically, um, you know, you know, have a huge crowd just yet. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, I would say about 17,000 just about could fit in there. That's pretty good. That's pretty nice. But hold on for a sec. Shh, she's up again. Hold on. Okay. Like I said, it's one. Like I said, it's one of those situations where you got to be a little careful. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, yeah, it looks like a nice venue. It looks like it's a new venue, from what I can tell. When did it open up? Oh, it opened up in 2019. Okay, November 9th, 2019. But yeah, yeah, so far, like with the Money in Bank participants, they got everything right. They got everything, pretty much good. The matches themselves, though, that's going to be kind of questionable. Um, for example, Bobby Lashley and Kofi Kingston, I think is going to be good. I think it'll be fine. People will be very receptive of it. They'll actually probably enjoy it. Rhea and Charlotte, that's a matchup that I don't think is going to get received very well. Because again, this is the kind of match that even though it might be good, fans pretty much see exactly what it is. It's basically, well, how would I put this? It's basically Raw's equivalent from the women's division side. It's basically the equivalent of what Shinsuke Nakamura and Baron Corbin went through on SmackDown this past Friday. It's the equivalent of the battle for the crown of Queen. That's what it is. That's basically the crown. The crown is basically it's the battle for the Raw Women's Divisions to be the Raw Women's Division's queen or the queen of the Raw Women's Division. That's basically what it is. You know, that's that's basically what it is, and um, a lot of people a lot of people see that, a lot of people notice that. Um, there's no doubt fans might cheer Rhea and everything because she's different and everything. She's supposed to be rebellious, but I just don't see him being very receptive to this match, especially if they're going to go with the result I think a lot of people are expecting them to go with, and that's Charlotte Flair winning. Now, the only silver lining is whoever wins the women's Money in the Bank match that night, probably at the start of the show, whether it's, especially from the Raw side, whoever wins it from the Raw side of things, they're going to cash in and they're going to be successful. Whether it's Nikki, whether it's Alexa, Naomi, Asuka, if it's somebody from the Raw side that wins, then Charlotte's winning, right? You know Charlotte's going to win, and it essentially means that she's going to get cashed in on as well by whoever the winner is. And that winner, I think everybody's hoping will be Nikki, because Nikki's got a lot of potential right now. I mean, true, not a lot of people are, up in the air for her for spirited superhero persona she now has, or she's adopted. But I think honestly, this is, if she wins and she cashes in and becomes champion, it'll be worth it. It will be worth it. And I think that's what fans are willing to give WWE the benefit of the doubt of. Like, hey, we may not like some of your decisions, especially what you're doing with Nikki and everything, but if the end result is her cashing in and becoming Raw Women's Champion finally, then, we're cool with it. Then it'll be all worth it. We may not like the fact she'll carry that gimmick on afterwards, but hey, it'll be worth it. It'll be worth it if you can do at least that. It's like basically people will be more receptive, of this spirited superhero persona she now has, if the end result is her becoming champion at Money in the Bank by cashing in. Not saying it's going to happen, but we'll see. We will see. But to me, it's that's the only outcome I could see, happening that basically will send people home happy, especially with this being your first pay-per-view on the road in front of live fans since WrestleMania. So we'll see what they do. But yeah, the thing is, WWE, you know, they're trying to take the right steps. Hold on for a second. You know, they're trying to take the right steps and everything, obviously, or at least attempting to, as I called it in my description. They're attempting to. Let me check. Yeah, the or they're trying to take, or at least attempting to take the right steps as they build towards the return to the road, mostly for the first CPV. Why did I put CPVs? There we go. Pay-per-views. There you go. First pay-per-views on the road. I put CPVs because I've been playing my CAW leagues on WWE 2K19 right now, which some people have even commented on just Alex's live streams being better material, being worth watching and enjoying than what we get with Raw sometimes. But yeah, that's my description in my here in this live chat is, talking about the steps WWE is taking, or at least attempting to take, as WWE tries to build towards the return to the road, mostly for the first pay-per-views, Money in the Bank and SummerSlam, because they know with both of those shows they got to hit it out of the park. They got to hit it out of the park with both of them, and Money in the Bank is the first big, pay-per-view step since WrestleMania to do so, and they got to make sure they do it in a way that doesn't piss off the fans. They got to do it in a way that doesn't piss off the fans, especially those that are going to be paying good money to go see, to go see to go see Money in the Bank, as well as later on make sure, as well as later on when people go and see SummerSlam at Allegiant Stadium, um, in Las Vegas. They got to make sure that they have events there that don't piss them off. Let's see how much tickets are anyway, just to make sure. I'm gonna look at Ticketmaster here. Okay, tickets. Whew, let's see here. Okay, so the upper rows are like in the 200s to 250, that being the upper decks. Some are 300, that's near the floor. That's on the floor, basically, kind of like row 11, that's $300. Row 7, no, is that no, that's $500. No, it is $300. Row 11 is like row 1, that's an upper, that's 300. $1,000 for floor seating, row 4, for Money in the Bank at Dickies Arena in Fort Worth. Yeah. And it looks like everything else is sold out right now. Everything else is sold out, but that's 2 tickets. See, 1 ticket. Yeah, 1 ticket. Yeah, it's basically about the same. It's basically about the same with these. Like row 5 on the floor is 800, 7. Yeah, they get expensive. Mostly up to thousands if you're 2 tickets, if you will. So, yeah, you're essentially looking like if you're somebody that's going with a friend or you're going with family, and you both want to enjoy this, you want to make sure that, you don't have, you want to make sure that you don't waste your money. You want to make sure you don't waste your money. And WWE wants to make sure they don't lose money or have people asking for refunds. So I'm sure what they're going to end up doing, essentially, is essentially, living up to what, Vince says they're going to do. And that's basically, you know, give us the good stuff, give people the good stuff that they've been holding back since this whole pandemic started. But we'll see. We'll see. But like I said, they're going to have to hit this out of the park. They're going to have to knock this SOB out of the park, not just with Money in the Bank, but with SummerSlam at Allegiant Stadium. Despite the limited seating that they're going to do, or expanded seating, whatever the case may be, they're going to have to hit this out of the park. They're going to have to hit both SOBs, as they call it, out of the park, because if they don't, then pretty much no one's going to trust them ever again. Everybody's going to be onto them. Everybody's going to be like, oh, you're only doing this because, oh, you promised us this kind of an event, but instead you gave us a piece of crap, so we're not going to trust you anymore. They don't want that. I know they don't want that. So if I'm them, like I said, if I'm them, I make sure that I hit it out of the park both times. Both times. And the way you hit it out of the park with Money in the Bank is you do cash-ins on that night. You do cash-ins on that night. Like I said, you have, like, if you're going to go with someone like Nikki Cross winning, you have her cash in on Charlotte. It's pretty much its plans for Charlotte to beat Rhea. You have her cash in on Charlotte, and you have her win. Yeah, you'll have Rhea probably help out because Rhea will be pissed that she lost, but by doing so, you have Nikki cash in, win the briefcase, and become champion for the first time in her career. You do that, and I guarantee you, people will not be too upset because you gave them something that they've enjoyed. Or it didn't, like I said, what you're having Nikki go through right now from a storyline perspective and character developing perspective, and now this whole spirited superhero deal will be worth it in the eyes of a lot of fans. And then you do the same thing with the men's. And even though people pretty much know that if he gets in, and it looks like he may, not saying, we'll find out after a Raw next after Raw this past Monday, or after Raw this upcoming Monday, a week from now. If Drew gets back in, if Drew, wins the last chance triple threat and gets in for the Raw side of things, I would expect Drew's going to win because that's another accolade to add to his resume. And then I expect Drew to cash in on Bobby Lashley. Then that way you set up the rematch at SummerSlam in case you can't get Brock, which a lot of people are hoping for. But you set up the rematch at SummerSlam, and then you're off to the race, and you're off to the races from there. Now, as far as SummerSlam is concerned, a lot of people have given their opinions. I've given my thoughts a little bit on it. I do agree that two of the matches, obviously, you need to really sell out that venue, that stadium, is Lashley, Lesnar, and Cena Reigns. But right now, apparently, we're not going to, and everybody except a few have said that we're not going to get Cena, we're not going to get Lashley and Lesnar. We're going to get Reigns and Cena, but we're not going to get Lashley and Lesnar. So how do you compensate for that? How do you compensate for the fact that, we're not going to get Lesnar and Lashley? Well, you compensate by giving us unfortunately, another Drew McIntyre, Bobby Lashley match. You do that. You do that. And, you basically play up the fact that, Lashley has not been able to win his matches, even a Hell in a Cell match, without some kind of help or out cheating in some kind of way. So what you do is you build it up to where the match basically, has a stipulation of not just the WWE Championship being on the line with Drew defending, but that the loser of the match can no longer get a rematch or can no longer get a shot at the title as long as the other has it, or as long as you can eat, or as long as the other or one or the other is on the Raw brand. You know what I'm saying? So, and that would open up the door for one of them to go to SmackDown. In my opinion, you basically set up the potential. You set up basically the potential, trade or drafting over to SmackDown of Lashley or McIntyre, and you go from there. So to me, if we're going to get Lashley and McIntyre again at SummerSlam, which I'm not saying we will, but it looks like everything is pointing in that direction, and it's all because now Lashley's challenging for his title because Drew cashed in on him and won. The best way you can make up for the fact that, hey, it's not Lashley Lesnar like you would want, but once again, it's McIntyre and Lashley. What you do to make up for that, the way you make it feel like it's a big time deal, in my opinion, or it's a big fight like you did at Mania, is you have the stipulation added that whoever loses doesn't get another shot at the title as long as either the other has it, as long as the other is champion, the winner is the champion, or as long as they're on the same brand as the other. So, for example, like again, and so what I'm trying to say again is, let's say, for example, Lashley, he gets cashed in by McIntyre. McIntyre wins, and they do have another match at SummerSlam. Let's say Lashley loses to McIntyre. The stipulation one way could be McIntyre is now the champ, and Lashley can't get another shot at that title as long as McIntyre has it. So he has to find a way to get the title off McIntyre. He has to screw McIntyre out of the belt so he can get a shot. Or you set it up to where if Lashley loses, and the stipulation is as long as you're both on the Raw brand, Lashley can't challenge for the championship anymore because you two will not be allowed to fight each other anymore because SummerSlam's the end of it. Basically SummerSlam's the final chapter. You set up SummerSlam to be like the final confrontation between these two for as long as WWE can hold hold off on another confrontation. And basically, you set it up to where if Lashley or McIntyre loses, it opens the door for them to go over to SmackDown, and challenge and put themselves into the Universal title picture there. But we'll see. But we'll see what they do, what they have planned, if you will, it'll come July 16th. But like I said, they need to basically knock both of these out of the park, both these events out of the park in a big, big way. And one way, like I said, with SummerSlam is Cena Reigns. And if you can't get Lesnar, which according to a lot of people may not seem like it's going to happen, you do Lashley, and you're going to have, and if the alternative is McIntyre Lashley, then you basically add the stipulation that whoever doesn't win that matchup can either A, no longer challenge for the championship as long as the other has it, or two, you set it up as being the final confrontation between the two, once and for the time being, and that after SummerSlam, that's it. There's no more contact. There's no more matches for the time, unless unless necessary, unless something comes up, a loophole, or there's some kind of loophole or something. You just basically set it up to where SummerSlam is the final confrontation. And like I said, again, if you go with that instead of, like I said, instead of the stipulation of, hey, the loser can't get a shot as long as the winner is the champion. If you go with the latter option B, that again opens the door for one of them to go over to SmackDown and be put in the Universal title picture there. And it gives more credibility to SmackDown, because now you could potentially have Roman Reigns on the same show with McIntyre, or Roman Reigns on the same show with Lashley, and you could build to something down the line there. And then, like I said earlier, you could, if they're planning to do what I think they're going to do with Jinder, where he takes out somebody, either it's Ricochet, Riddle, or Morrison, or whoever, to take their spot, to get into the matchup, or he tries to interfere in next week's triple threat to where he makes it a fatal four-way and he gets in instead of one of the other three, I should say, then basically you could have it set up to where he could win, but he doesn't cash in until he gets drafted over to SmackDown. But we'll see what happens. But hopefully they don't do that, because again, the last thing people, even though he's planned to get a push, apparently according to reports, the last thing people want to see is Jinder back in that title picture, especially with that title. But unfortunately, there's the one thing that I think a lot of us just hate to admit. The one thing a lot of us hate to admit is, even though we don't want it, it's not really our call. It's not our call. It's Vince McMahon's call. It's Nick Khan's call. It's it's the creative team's call. It's their call of, hey, this is what we got to do to get people to watch the product. And hopefully they don't do that. I mean, I could see them having Jinder and his crew show up at Money in the Bank and disrupt the match and take everybody out and say, this match ain't going to happen until he gets added in. I could see that too. And that would make things intriguing, because it's unexpected, even though because in a way it would be unexpected, even though it's expected, and stuff. So we'll see what they do. But like I said, they're setting that up apparently, and God only knows who they're setting up to get taken out by Jinder. Whether it's Riddle, Ricochet, or Morrison, or McIntyre, or AJ, or even Randy, we'll have to see. Again, he might just add himself, or get himself added to that last chance qualifier next week, make it a fatal four-way, and try to earn his way in, that way, see what happens. I mean, I'll give him credit on this. If that was to occur, I'll give him this. If that is to occur, and hold on for a sec. If that is to occur, at least the Raw half of Money in the Bank would be pretty much an all new field. So, would be a field. I would say an all new would have a fresh feel. Well, I'll put it this way: it would have an all new, fresh feel to it. Because even though I think Ricochet's been in Money in the Bank, and we know Morrison's been in Money in the Bank, you know, I think Jinder's been there as well. Riddle, I'm not sure of. I don't think he has. It'd basically be a fresh field, be something new, and again, it would play into, it would play in to basically WWE's, as I call it, manipulative business strategy or tactic to get people to trust them, to be like, hey, look what we got on the Raw side of things as far as the Money in the Bank match goes. Look at this. This is something you'll like. Come on. See, we're doing something right. Come on. Trust us. Trust in us. Hypnotize you. That's what it is. That's basically. I know that was kind of silly of me to do that, but that's basically what this business strategy is. They are hypnotizing. They're trying to hypnotize people into trusting them, and by doing a field that doesn't have a Randy Orton, doesn't have a Drew, doesn't have an AJ, would be something that would attract people, would hypnotize people into trusting them. But like I said, after that, it would be up to SmackDown this Friday, maybe next Friday, to kind of combat that and you know, try to combat that and give us a field on their side of things, on their side of the MITB that can match up equally in a way with the Raw stars. But we'll see. Again, we'll have to see what they have planned. Um, yeah, it's just yeah. But like I said, WWE, they have to hit this out of the park. They have to hit this out of the park, and I know they're planning to bring in legends and Hall of Famers during their trips back on the road, and I know a lot of people like just Alex feel that that's not needed, and that is indeed true. They're not needed, but again, you have to. But here's the thing that we always seem to forget. Like I said earlier, it's not our call. It's WWE's call. It's their call to say, hey, we need these guys because their names, even though they won't be active in the ring or won't do any kind of physical stuff, their names will get people to come in. Well, their names will draw people to the building. That's basically what it is. It's just about, hey, use the name, book them, have them do an in-ring segment or backstage segment, but book them as like the headliners, being here, so that it brings people to the arena, and that's what it is. It's nothing more. Again, like I said previously, it's nothing more than WWE's very manipulative business tactic to get you to come to the arena, to trick you into trusting them. It's again it's one thing to do the legends and all that and everything, if it's a one-time deal, but it's another to basically trick you and hypnotize you into trusting them for saying, hey, look what we're doing. And again, if this is the good stuff, if this is that good stuff that Vince McMahon says that they're saving, then again, this is basically their attempt to take the first step in the right direction of going back on the road, because they know that fans are not going to be very receptive of anything that they've been doing in the Thunderdome when it comes to a live audience. As I mentioned earlier, the whole Alexa Bliss thing at WrestleMania, not received well. Fans did not like it. They didn't like it. They didn't care for it. I mean, it's okay and it's okay in a few doses here and there, but not all the time. And here's the other thing too. A lot of fans, I'm pretty sure about this. I'm pretty sure about this, and maybe I'm wrong, but a lot of fans, I'm pretty sure, have been thinking to themselves, you know what? What if this whole Alexa Bliss thing in the end is nothing more than a facade for her to get the briefcase for the second time, which potentially could happen, and then she cashes in, wins the title, and then reveals, "Ha ha! I tricked you all. This is all just a facade for me to get back my briefcase, back my title, and thus show you that the goddess is supreme above all." There's a lot of people, even myself, that kind of feel that's what they may do. Like they're gonna milk this whole Lily Alexa thing up until the moment that if she wins MITB, the women's MITB, and cashes in and wins the title, that she, after she does that, she's going to reveal, hey, it was all facade, and now the goddess is back on her throne. I can I can see them pulling something like that. And I'm not alone in it. I know that others that are watching this or will be watching this, they know that's true. They know that that's a fact. And it's a cold-hearted, and it's not a cold-hearted fact, but it's a fact that a lot of us do not want to admit. It's a fact that a lot of us do not want to consider being true, because a lot of us would feel that the best solution, honestly, when it comes to a women's MITB winner, is Nikki Cross, because we believe that despite how we feel about WWE putting her through all this nonsense, whether it's a mutual agreement between both her and the company to make this happen or not, whether we agree with this nonsense that she's going through is now, which is basically now resulting in her being a spirited superhero, if it culminates with her winning the MITB and cashing in on Charlotte and becoming champion for the first time, then it'll be worth, then fine. It'll be worth all the nonsense. It'll be worth all the stupidity in a way that you've had us, you put us through, with the women's division, with Nikki, with Alexa and all that. It'll be worth everything. It'll be worth every monotonous moment, if you will, if Nikki's the one that wins MITB and then cashes in, because it'll be like, finally, you got the belt on somebody that's never been champion. Well, she's been tag champ, but not a single champ. Now you've got that belt on her, which is the right move to do. But again, we'll see what WWE has planned, but that would be honestly one of the right steps in the direction of being back on the road. You want to make sure people, stay supportive of you. You want people to, stay trusting of you. Then what you do is you come out and you book things the way they would want them and go from there. But here's the thing. Once you do that, you don't let up. You do not let up. Because one thing a lot of people are afraid of, and I've mentioned this when I, like I said, told JD, and then I super chatted the same answer to just Alex, that, this is nothing more right now with them doing what they're doing with the field so far of MITB participants. Is this just basically a way for them to get people to trust in them, to get the fans when they go back on the road to trust in them. And, and that it's nothing more, like I said, than a manipulative business tactic that when the time is right, they'll just put on the back burner and go back to business as usual. But here's the thing. They can't do that. They can't do that, because if they do that and they go back to business as usual, then people will get onto them. They'll start getting wise to WWE by looking at the fact that, wait a minute, you said you were going to do this, and now you're going back to this. They're going to get wise to them, and WWE does not want to do that. So again, they need to make sure that a lot of what they're doing right now, by making Raw tonight, or last night now, seeing as though it's about 12:20 a.m. Pacific. Basically what they need to do is make sure that they continue this little bit of momentum they've built tonight. Keep the momentum going. Don't let up, because you're going to go back on the road. And as I've said before in a video, fans on the road are completely different. They will let you know what they like, what they hate. They will not relent. They will not ease up on how they feel. They will not relent on how they feel. They will let you have it. Yeah, you have a honeymoon period here and there. That's cool and everything. But then that honeymoon period is going to end, and then reality is going to set in. And then that's when you got to start realizing, if you're WWE, hey, I want to keep my momentum going. What do? You start thinking, okay, maybe I need to keep going in this direction, because that is making people happy. That's keeping them, that's keeping them, in our that's keeping them coming back and everything. That's keeping them happy and enabling them to attend and watch and all that. So again, if I'm WWE, I don't let up on this little bit of momentum I've built out to tonight, because this is the first time I think anybody's actually said anything positive about Raw, and I don't just think it's due to the fact of the horrendous Hell in the Cell they had on Sunday. Well, that is a big a contributor to it. There's no doubt, but I think this has just been something that's been building up for weeks, and now they're realizing, hopefully, that hey, we're about to go back on the road. We need to get our act together. We need to get our act together and start doing things the way start you know doing things the way that we should be doing them, or as like I said, as the reports and rumors are going around, start putting out all that good stuff that we say we're going to put out, because basically that's going to get people to trust us. That's going to get people to side with us. That's going to get people to spend money on tickets for us, because if WWE gives them a craptastic, BS MITB pay-per-view event in Fort Worth at Dickies Arena. Those people that pay a combination of $400 to $1,000 a seat are not going to be happy. And the last thing WWE wants, the last thing Dickies Arena wants, is people asking for refunds because they got cheapskated. They got swindled, as they would say. So WWE, they need to keep whatever momentum they had made tonight, whatever progress they made tonight, positive progress with Raw, as well as that momentum that they keep building week by week with SmackDown, and they need to continue. And they need to continue running with that. They need to continue building on that, especially as they get back on the road. Because, like I said, hopefully somebody's realizing, hey, we're about to go back on the road in a couple of weeks. We need to get our act together, or else people or else attendance is going to be bad. I mean, apparently, according to some reports, tickets for some of these events are not doing so well. Now that could all change after tonight, and after Friday on SmackDown, especially this past Friday, and that's a good thing. But if they want those ticket sales to continue going in the right direction, then they need to basically continue this momentum. They need to continue progressively getting better when it comes to Raw. They need to progressively keep that strong momentum they got going on SmackDown and everything, and building Roman Reigns to a certain level, if you will. They got to keep that going, because the more you do that, the more people will trust you. The more people will purchase or will spend $400 to $1,000 a ticket for a seat to attend your events, especially your pay-per-view events. So if I'm WWE, that's what I do. I keep up that momentum. And after last night on Raw, because like I say, now it's about 12:25 a.m. Pacific time on Tuesday now. After what they did on Raw, if you want that positive reaction to keep going, then you need to keep it going, and just be careful about the decisions you make. And there are a lot of things, a lot of directions they could take, as we build to Money in the Bank and SummerSlam, and then even afterwards. Like I said, if you're planning to push Jinder Mahal, whether you involve him in Money in the Bank or you don't, and there's potential they're going to in some way, shape, or form, whether it's him adding himself to the Last Chance qualifier next week, or him adding himself to the match on that night, whether it's attacking Riddle or somebody else, or Ricochet, or whatever. If it's him adding himself to that match, and whether he wins or he doesn't win, which hopefully the latter is the case, but you're still planning to give him a push. And with the draft coming up, and the rumors circulating that Roman potentially is going to go babyface soon, still, as the tribal chief and the head of the table on SmackDown, along with the Usos, what better way to do that than to put him in a main event situation, or some kind of a main event program with Jinder? Because, I mean, look, who else do you have besides Cena potentially, and maybe even McIntyre or Lashley if they get drafted over to SmackDown? who else do you potentially have to go up against Roman? Who potentially do you have can match up with the Usos? You know, nobody. You don't have anybody. So to me, that makes a lot of sense to do that if you want to continue pushing gender at a high level. And you're kind of doing that right now by having him hint that he's going to potentially take out one of the participants between now and July 16th. What better way to do that if, especially with the draft coming up after SummerSlam, than to have him get drafted to SmackDown. And then, like I said, with the reports that Roman potentially is going to go face down the line, or heel, as some people like to play around with all due respect. Because there are some people that look at him right now as a baby face, and others that look at the rumor of him going back to a heel is, just a way of making things fun for themselves as fans, and they know who they are. But like I said, if the rumors are true about him going back in the other direction, as the tribal chief, as the head of the table, along with the Usos, there you go. You got a good matchup there, especially if you want to continue that momentumless, that kind of slow push and everything for Jinder. You put him into a segment or main event program with Roman. You put his team in a main event or upper echelon, upper cards, low main event program with the Usos, and you're off to the races. So to me, it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense to do that with Jinder, even after Money in the Bank, whether you have him win Money in the Bank or not, which hopefully, again, the latter is what a lot of people hope happens. But if you want to keep his momentum going, especially after SummerSlam, and you want to keep that momentum as a company going, as a company as a whole going, then what you do is you basically, again, coinciding with those rumors, you have Jinder go over to SmackDown, draft over to SmackDown. There you go. And here's the thing about Roman. Like I said, Roman, he's at a moment right now in his career to where, honestly, the interaction between him and Jinder, if Jinder and his team go over to SmackDown, after Money in the Bank and SummerSlam is done with, and we start going into what's known as the new fall seasons for both Raw and SmackDown, then basically, hold on for a sec. Then basically, like I said, Roman is at such a stage in his career to where he would get naturally cheered if he interacts with Jinder. That's what I was trying to say. But yeah, he'll get naturally cheered. There's no doubt about it, in my opinion. No doubt about it. But again, Money in the Bank and SummerSlam are going to tell us everything about what direction WWE is going to be going in, now that they're going back on the road. Tonight or last night, they took, tonight, they took the right steps, if you will, progressive states. They took the right progressive states, not state, but steps, if you will, for, to get people to probably trust a little bit in Raw. Tune in maybe next week to see what happens in the qualifier. At least they got them going in that. At least they got a little bit of that progress or that momentum going. A little bit of progress made there, and then of course, along with the momentum they got going with, with Raw, not Raw, but with SmackDown. Then basically, basically they're heading in the right directions is what they're doing. They're taking the first right steps in the right direction to get themselves ready to be back on the road to where fans will come in drones, if you will. Not capacity, maybe not full sellouts or anything, but enough to come in and give them a chance. That's what they're gonna, that's it. Seemingly, that's the steps that they are taking right now. Right now they're basically taking the right steps in the right directions, especially with SmackDown and what they got going there with Roman and stuff. And then some of the progressiveness that they got going on with Raw right now, that they made some progression last night, I should say. Hopefully, again, they keep this up as they head back back towards the road in a couple of weeks. Because, like I mentioned, I'm hoping somebody talked, during a meeting during a meeting today after last night's Hell in the Cell fiasco and negative reaction that it got. That hopefully, somebody talked about this and said, look, maybe it was Nick Khan, like I said. They said, hey, look, we're going to go back on the road. If we're going to get people to buy tickets to come see us, we need to fix our product. We need to take that good stuff, Vince, that you said you told people is potentially going to happen, and we need to start applying that now. We need to start applying that now before we get on the road, so that when we get back on the road, it'll be second nature to us to be able to give them that good stuff, if you will, that you say we're going to give them. So hopefully, starting last night on Raw, and like I said, continuing off of SmackDown, and hopefully continuing on with SmackDown this Friday, and like I said, continuing off from SmackDown this past Friday, hopefully they take all this momentum, all this momentum they got with SmackDown, especially with Roman and all that, and they take all this progress they've made with Raw a little bit tonight, and they go in the right direction with it. They take it in a direction that they know is going to get people to support them, get behind them, enjoy them, and stuff like that. So, yeah, these are the right steps they need to make. And again, Money in the Bank wise, they know what they need to do. They know what they need to do to really get people to be like, okay, WWE is they're trying, or WWE has shown us after tonight that we can trust them, that they are going in the right direction, or at least attempting to. And one of the things they need to do, honestly, like I said, Money in the Bank, you have the winners that night of both MITB matches. You have those winners cash in and become champion. And the ones that I think people would want or would accept, especially if you're going to build to something with them down, if you're going to build to something big later down the line with one of them, is Nikki Cross winning and cashing in on either Charlotte or Rhea, mostly Charlotte, because it looks like they're going to go in that direction. And then on the other hand, and then on the men's side, if Drew gets in after next week, you have Drew win the briefcase, have him cash in that night after Bobby's match with Kofi. And then if you can't get Lesnar, which again looks like they won't be able to do according to some reports, then you have McIntyre and Lashley in a final confrontation match potentially at SummerSlam, to where that match is not only for the title, but when it's all said and done, but when it's all said and done, what I'm trying to say, then they no longer fight each other. Like, this is it. Like, it doesn't matter if you're both on the same brand. It doesn't matter if one of you is the number one contender and the other is the champion. This is it. No more fights, no more matches, because you're done. And again, that opens the door potentially with the draft coming up for one of them to go over to SmackDown and start off fresh, and maybe be put into that Universal title picture against Roman. Or they go with the other option, which I would call option A, and that's just have the loser not challenge the winner as long as they're champion. But I think if you really want to put a bow on this, a final bow for the time being on this, then you have that. Then you use option B, the ladder stipulation that I mentioned, that basically this is a final confrontation, and that it doesn't matter, what happens in the future with the one's number one contender and the other's champion. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if they're on the same brand. They will no longer fight each other, because this is it. This is it. It's all said and done. That's what they need. That's what, to me, WWE needs to build towards to SummerSlam. If they can't get Lashley and Lesnar booked for that event, you have McIntyre, Lashley, final confrontation. And again, that opens the door for potentially McIntyre or Lashley to go to SmackDown. And to me, that's how if you're WWE, you keep your momentum going. You keep that momentum you started you've been having over the past several months and weeks with SmackDown and Roman Reigns and his tribal chief deal. And you also take that little bit of progression you made last night on Raw, you build on it, going into Money in the Bank, going into SummerSlam, and then you continue it even afterwards. And if you do, and if they do the things that I believe they could do, or I feel they should do, then I think by Night of Champions, if they still not Night of Champions, but by Clash of Champions in September, which I think they're going to have. I think they will have Clash of Champions. By the time we hit Clash of Champions, that basically will be when fans, after the honeymoon is all said and done, fans will settle in and start trusting them once again. At least give them the benefit of the doubt. Like, okay, we see you're making progress. This is all good. You want us to keep coming. Keep this up. So anyway, yeah, that's what's going on with WWE. Apparently, after, like I said, tonight, they've taken the right steps, progressive-wise, with Raw. Everybody's saying it's one of the better Raws in a long time, 3-hour-wise. And, they have to take that combined with the momentum and stuff they've had on SmackDown with Roman and all that, and they need to continue to roll with it. They need to continue rolling it with it in the direction they're attempting to go in as we head towards Money in the Bank and SummerSlam and even afterwards. But anyway, though, guys, that's all I'm going to say. I know it sounded like I rambled a bit. It's late. It is about 12:38 now, almost 12:40 in the morning on this Tuesday, Pacific time. Let me know what your thoughts are down below in the comments. Thank you all for watching me late. I really appreciate it. You all have a good Tuesday, and maybe I'll be back up tomorrow night with another live stream. Like I said, I'm doing these as best as I can with the opportunities that are given to me. I mean, right now my mom is asleep as we speak, so it's one of those opportunities that I have, if you know what I mean. But thank you all for watching. Really appreciate it. You all have a good night, and I will talk to y'all later. Peace. God bless. Take care of yourselves. I am out.